All right. I think we're recording now. Great.
Okay.
All right. So here we are, Climate Reality Project, our first general meeting. Welcome to everyone who is attending asynchronously, and welcome, Susan. We'll definitely do a better job of scheduling the next meeting so more people can attend in person and maybe ask some questions as we go through these slides. Let's see here, mouse, there we go. So for those of you who are maybe new to our organization, quick intro, my name is Sebastian Solark. I co-founded our Oahu chapter of Climate Reality Project with Joshua Cooper, Leon Geschwin, Malia Staub, and Judy Daniels. And since those 5 members, we have grown to 14 members in about a month and a half. So it's still a small community, but we're growing. And we're continuing to grow our strategic plan, but as it stands now, our vision is to be a community that is multidisciplinary, cross-sectorial, all for the purpose of enhancing climate action and climate education. We also want to be an incubator for the future leaders in climate change. So we're really interested in attracting young members. But we also want to be a platform and a resource to current leaders in this space so that we can bolster their work. And our mission is to achieve this sustainable development goals as laid out by the United Nations at a local level, but as much as it's applicable to global communities as well. So what are we up to? For those who are trained climate reality leaders, you're very familiar that at the core of what we do is climate presentations. For those of you who haven't been trained, we're more than happy to share, our training and our slide decks, and I'm sure we would all very much recommend that you attend one of these climate reality trainings, which are free. They're led by the founder and chair and Nobel laureate of climate reality, Al Gore. Incredibly uh, inspiring training, and equips you with all sorts of great tools. Joshua Cooper, our co-chair, has been doing weekly films. I think the best way to know what film is going to be shown is to either contact him directly, or the flyers for the films will be put up on the Facebook periodically. And maybe we'll even get to the point where it's efficient enough to even be in the newsletter. But it's always at the same time, same place. More on that later. But again, a lot of what we're trying to do is to develop resources such as videos and slide decks for the community to take advantage of. I do a weekly sustainability newsletter. We want to have some more guided discussions into the future. And lastly is that sustainability community networking piece of really bringing us all together to tackle the climate crisis. So diving right into it, the presentations aspect. Just last week, I gave 2 presentations to my alma mater, Punahou High School. And so I'm currently in the process of designing and customizing Hawaii-specific climate impact slides. I'm more than happy to share these, make them publicly available. But this is one of the services that we provide to our members and to our community, are these informational slide decks. Next are those films that I talked to you about. Just today, earlier today, there was the showing of Moana Nui Akea. I think I said that right, about the Hokulea. So every week, Friday at 1 p.m., Joshua hosts a film on climate change, sustainability, human rights. Um, and that's just from the Climate Reality Project side of things. We're also aiming to coordinate sustainability events with other sustainability organizations like the Citizens Climate Lobby, and so forth. Um, so the third piece was that resource development piece. Again, we're working on slide decks, but beyond just using slide decks as a presentation tool, I also have the idea of utilizing that like Google Slides or PowerPoint application as sort of like a field guide, like as something that you can easily share through the cloud or through emails, that will just have profile by profile. What can you do? This like Hawaii Sustainability Field Guide. The idea is that um, all the different organizations, all the different resources, all the different opportunities are curated and made transparent and accessible to everyone. So it'll be an ongoing process. It'll be a growing, living document. But that's one of the priorities for our chapter is to get community participation in building that document. Second is videos. So including, recorded meetings such as this one. We plan on doing some recorded interviews with members of different organizations. Oh, we have someone joining us, I think. Leon, there we go. He's connecting. Hi, Leon, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. I'm on the road. Just FYI, I just picked up my kids.
No problem. So I'm just kind of going through what our chapter is about, what we do, and we're recording right now so that the folks that can't make it can attend asynchronously.
Sounds good. I'll go on. Yeah.
All right, sounds good. So yeah, as I was saying, we're going to do some recorded interviews. I'm personally very interested in trying to organize field trips to the water treatment plant or to the landfill or all sorts of different places that are being affected by climate change to get that firsthand perspective on those issues. And whether it's writing up an article or a report on what we find and what our experiences are on that trip, I think it would also be a great opportunity to do like a mini documentary on our experiences there. And then lastly is tutorials on how to use different sustainability tools. So there's a lot of very interesting software out there for calculating your carbon footprint or tracking different climate actions. These are all great tools for really taking agency over your personal climate impact. Um, and there's no reason to try to figure out these things from scratch. We've all kind of learned it the hard way, or maybe some of us had the benefit of having someone else teach us. But we're more than happy to share those how-tos with you folks. And then I also leave space for other. Another thing that we really wanted to maintain as part of this chapter is that it's responsive to what the membership wants to do in terms of addressing climate change. Sorry, we have another person joining us, Michael Rogers. Awesome. There we go. Mike, can you hear us?
Hi.
Hi, welcome.
Yeah, sorry to drop in so late.
Oh, no problem. Happy to have you.
All right.
So I'm quickly going through kind of what we do as a chapter. We're recording the meeting for those who are attending asynchronously. I'm just going to continue where I left off, but I'll also do a quick refresher.
Okay.
So as I was saying, if there's resources we're not providing that, you folks in the community think are of value, or something we should be prioritizing, we're more than interested in supporting those interests. All right. The sustainability newsletter. So every Monday around noon, will release a newsletter. It's very key until we find some sort of replacement for email. It'll be my way of communicating to you folks about updates on the chapter, how to access different resources. I'll do a weekly dose of sustainability. So as you can see here in this slide, issue 1 was the young person's guide to changing the world and the lazy person's guide to saving the world. Issue 2 was about Project Drawdown. In this Monday's issue, I'm going to talk about Aloha Plus Challenge and kind of the work that Hawaii Green Growth has been doing. But there's so many very interesting resources out there to improve your understanding of the different climate issues, but also enhance the kinds of actions you can take. And then I'll always do a quote at the end. So last week was, do your little bit of good wherever you are. It's those little bits of good put together that overwhelm the world, right? So it's kind of this idea that there's sometimes this miasma of pessimism that's like, what can I do? What is the worth of one person's actions? And the world has only changed through the collective action of individuals. And so, yeah, it's about having, the right spirit and perspective on these issues. And as a community, I hope we can keep you in high hopes and not too disparaging about our global situation. Another thing I'd really like to kick off, because I hope to have these general meetings to be maybe once a month, maybe once every 2 months, not too frequent, just enough to bring everyone back together, and keep, some discussion going. I wanted to have a weekly Chats for Climate guided discussion. So this is a very informal, casual discussion on climate change. Every time there will be a focus. I think our first one will focus on climate action, right? So talking about how your lifestyle impacts climate change, what is your carbon footprint, what can you do in terms of organizing, using your voice, what can you do to change local policy or change business policy at your workplace. But anyway, it's to gain perspective, broaden and deepen your knowledge, and then also, provide spiritual support to some degree, to those who are feeling lost or unsure on how to navigate this space. And then the final part of this is the community networking, right? And so before Joshua and I started this Oahu chapter, we were a little conflicted because there already exists all these organizations doing sustainable development work, right? And tackling climate change in their own way. But when I was trying to, get back and engage, albeit it was during, the height of COVID, I was having a little trouble breaking into this climate action community, or this work in general as a community. And so I think it would really benefit everyone in each of these organizations to have stronger bridges and networks that connect them. It could be as simple as sharing a newsletter template or newsletter resources. It could be organizing a sustainability calendar, where there's a single calendar where members of all these organizations can kind of see all the different social events or movie screenings that are being made available in different arenas. And then also collaborate on building resources, toolkits, field guides, whatever it may be. Yeah, and then the last piece is get engaged, stay engaged. Right now, I think the Facebook group is the easiest way for us to stay all connected. I always add the Facebook group link in the newsletters. I also have them available here in the chat. I wonder if I can add it to the chat here. No, I'm not seeing it. Oh well. So the Facebook group is really kind of the central hub of where we can have, you know, a forum where we'll post when the filmings from our side that Joshua organizes, those will be posted there. The newsletters will be posted there. Oahu Climate Reality at gmail.com is our chapter's kind of official email address. So if you ever want to redirect someone toward us, I check that inbox every day. But the kind of final piece that I want to leave you all with is that really climate solutions or the climate crisis, it just completely obligates us to be leaders. Like nothing is going to happen if we don't take leadership ourselves. If we look at our current leaders, and if we're unhappy with, you know, how they're running things or how they're tackling this problem, I personally don't think it's enough to, you know, cast your ballot or send your tweet and then be done with it and say, I said my piece. Now we have to wait for the bosses to make the decision. And I think we are all more than capable of being our own bosses and take our own initiative in tackling this problem. And so that being said, our chapter could really use more leadership. We started off with a team of 5, but we're all very busy. We're all volunteering at different places all at the same time. So more hands on deck is always welcome. But you know, if you don't have time because you're already involved in something else, like personally, I volunteer for, oh, excuse my dog. I personally volunteer for Engineers for a Sustainable World. I volunteer at Partners in Care. I volunteer all over the place, right? And so if you are also similarly involved in something else and you can't give more of your time to climate reality, please let us know how we can give you those resources to support your leadership actions. Yeah, so that's my piece. Just to start back from the top, these are the things we're involved in, right? Presentations, films, resource development, sustainability newsletter, guided discussions, sustainability community network. You'll all definitely hear from me through email. Yeah, and mahalo. I really appreciate the engagement so far.